Okay. Well, welcome, Rachel, and thank you so much for your time. We are doing a segment called Mastering Your Mind. And the topic you have mentioned for today is mind shift for success. What does that mean?
Well, it's something that I've been working on myself probably for the last 8 years or so, and really wanting to create more in my life and help other people do the same thing as well. So, through my coaching and business mentoring, the realization that I started off was really around emotions and the things that held us back from getting to where we wanted to go. But it wasn't until I started working with my mentor, Bob Proctor, who really, I had the light bulb moment around what was holding me back and holding so many people back. And that's about paradigms. Now,
And
most people haven't heard about paradigms. And
yes, I was just going to say, what is a paradigm or what are paradigms?
so, look, listen up. Paradigms are a multitude of habits that are stored in the subconscious part of your mind. And they've been passed down from generation to generation. They're beliefs and habits and behaviors that are either serving you or not serving you. And it's the ones that aren't serving you that hold you back from the success that you desire. You see, paradigms control everything. They control your productivity, your efficiency, your ability to earn money, time, your relationships, your health. They control everything.
How do we know what paradigms, or how do we become aware of the paradigms that really don't serve us? And
really good question, Faye. You just have to look at the results in your life.
The results that keep
the
you
results that are in the
repeating.
physical world for you on the outside. So if you your money's not where you want it to be, more than likely you've got a money paradigm. If your
Yes.
health and your is not where you would like it to be, and you're unwell, there's a health paradigm there. If
Yeah.
you are a procrastinator, then you've got issues with productivity and efficiency. And look, most of us have a level of procrastination.
That's a biggie. That's a biggie.
All the things that I just that I really mentioned, you've got to look at the results on the outside. But probably the biggest paradigm that holds everyone back is the self-image paradigm. And it's
Self-image. What do you mean by self-image?
it's something that we don't really understand, but it's the self-image that you have of yourself, not what other people have. It's the self-image that you hold of yourself and the inside of that person that talks to you.
That person in your head.
In
Yes.
your head, yes.
Yes.
That really is your self-image. And what we find is that most people are not kind to themselves, that they're actually their worst enemy, and you can't outperform that. So if you want to change your results, the first place you need to start is with that. And then when you start developing a strong, confident self-image, then you start working on all the other paradigms as well. So what tends to happen is our conscious part of our mind controls 2 to 4% of our behaviors. Now that's where we really concentrate with all our learning. But
2 to 4%.
Yep, but
very small.
It's very small, but it's our subconscious part of the mind that's linked with feelings, the emotional part of our mind. That's where 96 to 98% of all the decisions around our habits, belief, and behavior are made.
And 96%, that is massive. But how do we know? Our subconscious mind is the part of the mind where we do things just naturally and don't think about it. Is that what the subconscious mind actually does?
It really is. Bob really talks about increasing your level of awareness. And that's becoming aware. And you may feel heaps of frustration in the sense of, and confusion, because you don't understand. You have all this knowledge, but you can't turn it into action. And we call it the knowing doing gap. You know, but you just can't do. And it's like banging your head against the wall. For people that have been on diets before, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes.
You know you want to lose weight, but you just can't seem to commit, and you can't follow what's needed.
And that's a paradigm that is preventing you, and that can stem back for generations.
Yeah, because you look at the behaviours and patterns and, you know, and things of your family and or in the environment that you're around, and you will have made a decision or, you know, or modelled a behaviour or that belief's been passed on to you. And that can link even to your, not just in the weight, but your self-confidence, self-image, you know, that you have a poor self-image of yourself, and that can be the reason for the weight. So, you know, it's really
all psychological, isn't it? It's that mind over matter kind of thing.
Absolutely. And it's really just starting to understand you. Start questioning yourself, because literally these beliefs and habits, they're not yours. They've just been passed on. When you're a young child, the subconscious mind is wide open and everything's poured in. You can't reject anything. But as you start to get older, your conscious mind goes, actually, no, I don't like that. I'm not dressing like that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not eating that. And you start to choose for yourself. But so many of those behaviours and beliefs have already passed on, but you didn't make a conscious decision to take them on board.
So create that awareness of finding out what that paradigm or that habit is, to create the change or create the awareness. How do you do that?
Yeah. So look, you know, the key I found, and it was what I did, is I got a mentor. And the reason being is that I don't know anyone that's been able to change paradigms on their own. You know, it is tricky, and you need to get the right direction. You need to get the right accountability. And there's only two ways you can change a paradigm. One is through constant spaced repetition and study, the right type of learning and action. And the other way is an emotional impact. Now, most emotional impacts are negative. Things like, you know, 9/11, the loss of a relationship, you know, the death in a family. And them being most negative, yes, the changes will occur, but you don't want to be sitting around waiting for an emotional impact. You know, you want to, you know, make a decision to change.
Yes, yes. And with those changes, and you said getting a mentor. Now, most people wouldn't really know what a mentor was or what a mentor can do for you. So can you talk a little bit about that, Rachel?
It's really about helping you become aware. So the program, well, I deliver a program. It's Bob Proctor's program called Thinking to Results. And, you know, I've recently been interviewing people who have become self-made millionaires, and each of them said, you know, what was so integral to them in their change was having that guidance, having a mentor who'd actually already done what they'd done before. Because if you're seeking help from the people around you, you're more than likely going to be in the same average the law of averages. You're all going to be doing the same thing. Yes. So if you're wanting to earn more money or have a better relationship or become more product, you want to seek out people who are already doing what you're doing, because that habit and their behavior is part of who they are.
Yeah, and that's their paradigm.
And that's the paradigm. That's what you're working with. And then it's having someone that's going to keep you accountable to that, because it's not like knowledge. You know, knowledge is just something that you can continue to gather and learn. When you're becoming more aware, you're having to take certain actions to do that.
And being accountable to someone is really important, isn't it?
Well, it's the paradigm that kicks in that stops you.
Yes.
And you're trying to develop a new habit. And, you know, I'm sure any of the listeners hearing, you know that when you've started to do something, you'll self-sabotage. You know, that voice in your head that, you know, if you do go on a diet and you reach for the piece of cake, or, oh, no, I'll start next week. That's the conversation going in your mind around, you know, around money, about, you know, if you're trying to develop and become more productive, and, you know, you end up just faffing around and not doing much, you procrastinate. So it's learning how to develop your focus and your will and other bits and pieces, but it's really just about you making a decision that you're going to change too. But you need that accountability, and you need that right direction to keep you on track.
And making that change and having that support and having that accountability for when you're really struggling with making that change. You have someone there to help you, pick you up and say, come on, you can do this.
Yeah.
So it's really important to have that support.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you look at, say, CEOs, Olympians, executives, you know, athletes, they all have a coach. They all have a mentor that helps give them direction and to stay on track.
And it teaches them to also have that vision, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That accountability and the vision that they have.
And the
They
discipline.
work toward, yeah.
The discipline to give themselves a command and follow it. Now, if you can imagine with an athlete or someone that's made a decision, they're not going to let their coach let their coach down and not turn up. And sometimes that's what drives them to turn up to training.
Yes.
To go up, to turn up, to do the things that they don't want to do. That's what successful people, really is. It's the common denominator of success by a man called Albert Gray wrote that, successful people do what the failure people don't want to do. It's not that the successful people want to do it. They don't. They just override it.
And they do it because they can see the results at the end that they're going to get.
Yes.
And so therefore their determination and their decisions and everything that they make, they work toward it.
But it comes down to a decision that you've got to have a desire to do more, be more, and have more. Okay. And, when I found out about paradigms, my whole world changed. It didn't change that day, but I've just consistently put into place for myself and my clients, what I've been told to do from the information from Bob, and things are changing because I'm shifting paradigms and they're shifting paradigms.
Yes.
But the key is most people don't know how to make a decision. So
and what is that?
Sounds good because we're not taught.
Yes. And at school, it's like you're never taught at school to make a decision because you're always told to be quiet, sit there, concentrate, read, do this, do that. And this decision making is taken away from a child when they're in school.
Absolutely. If you think of, parents, they choose, the clothes the child wears sometimes, and look, this isn't everyone, but it is, again, creating the awareness for yourself.
Yes.
Were decisions made for you? Are you able to make a decision for yourself? Or the common thing is what happens is you turn around to everybody else that's around you and go, well, what do you think I should do? What do you think I should do?
What do you think I should wear?
Yeah, instead of internally going, what do I want to do?
Yes.
And that it's almost been like our wants have been a selfish thing. Oh, no, you can't do that. Well, I'm telling you, it's the exact opposite. You do need to work out what it is that you want. Okay. Because what happens is that the opposite to decision is procrastination.
That's a biggie, isn't it? Procrastination, and I know from experience that I've done a lot of procrastination, particularly over the last few years, and have just come to realise that that is one of my paradigms, one of my habits, which I am now working on to change. But until you create that awareness around it and you continually get the same results over and over again, nothing changes.
Yeah, and that's right. It will continue to be the same. And that is the paradigm. The paradigm just acts like, it's called a psycho-cybernetic instrument. Now, there was a book written by Maxwell Maltz back in the 50s. It is a phenomenal book. It's up there in my top 5. It really basically tells you, information on how you can change.
Right. So psycho-cybernetics.
Psycho-cybernetics, yes. But what I was going to say around that is that it's this instrument within our mind that keeps us at the $50,000 a year income or the $100,000, and you know that you're worth more, but you're not
absolutely.
But you're not aware of how to earn more money. For example, it's such a good one to use as an example. But
do you think
instrument is just like the same instrument that you have on an air conditioner? If you've got that set for 19 degrees, if someone opens the door and it's hot air in, it will start to work harder to get the room back to 19 degrees. That's how your psycho-cybernetic instrument works. You are programmed, say, for example, to earn that $100,000 or $50,000 a year. You won't, and if you're in sales, you'll earn a little bit more, you might earn a little bit less, but on average, that's what the psycho-cybernetic instrument does, is just keeps you at that.
On that average. And some people are happy living in that comfort zone and thinking that is my lot in life, and have no desire to make decisions to create a better life for themselves because they're happy where they are.
Well, it's the lack of awareness. They don't know any different. Okay,
Yeah.
so in that, you can. I mean, this is key. You know, you cannot escape from a prison unless you know you are in one, and that's a quote
Oh,
from Vernon Howard.
yes. That makes so much sense. And I think there are a lot of people out there that sit in those, well, let's say, refer to them as prisons, their life, and think, well, you know, I'm not capable of doing this. So they doubt themselves and they think they haven't got the skills or the knowledge or the ability to improve on what they do. So how do they go about doing something to make those changes? And I know we talk about creating the awareness and having the accountability, but what is it that will spark it within that person to say, give them an aha moment and say, oh, I can do something different and make my life different and have what I want in my life?
Look, there's a couple of things, you know, in what you were just talking about then, you know, particularly in that people being comfortable. Most people don't want to go outside their comfort zone. We've been taught, and social media and, you know, all the media really reinforces it, that you know, feeling fear is not is good. We're really programmed into fear. So people just want to stay the same because it keeps them comfortable and they're okay. But what happens is you're either living your life or you're dying your life. You're either creating or you're disintegrating. If you're just staying in your comfort zone, nothing is changing. And that in itself is like procrastination. And it's like a disease. It keeps you stuck in the same place. Whether
Like a disease.
Yeah, well,
that's interesting.
I say that because, you know, I would love to have had this information around awareness when I was much younger, because you're stuck in the same place. You're not moving forward, you're not moving back. And if you look at, you know, in that form of procrastination, you know, I always get this visual of seeing one of the Looney Tune characters stuck on a paling fence. You know?
Stuck on a paling fence.
They're not moving forward, they're not moving back.
They're just stuck there.
Yeah, you're just stuck there, and you have this, you might even have an internal desire that you want to do more, but you blow it off because you go, oh, that's not possible for me. And it becomes this push-pull internal struggle that wastes so much time and energy, just like you do when you procrastinate. You don't get stuff done and then you beat yourself up over it.
That's a whole story on its own, procrastination, isn't it? So and decisions as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you ask the question about, well, what do people do? I think the first thing that you can do is ask yourself, what do I want? You know, what do I really want?
And most people never ask themselves what they want because nobody's ever asked them what they want in the first instant. And so therefore the thought has never come to them, has it?
No, and that's part two of their paradigm. It doesn't allow them to think that they could actually do anything. So I know that even when I started myself on this own journey, I knew what I didn't want. But when it came to looking at what I did want, I didn't even know where to start. So it wasn't until someone said to me, well, why don't you just write down all of the things that you've justified to yourself that you can't have? And then it flowed. But, you know, that's one step, is, you know, getting in touch with what it is that you really want. But your paradigm comes up and tells you, oh, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that. That's why you've got to get the right direction. That's why you need to get the right help, so that you can move through that and shift the paradigm, because you want to create the life that you really want. We are here for that reason.
And we're here for a very short period of time. And the word can't, when you take off the T, is can.
Yeah.
So we all can achieve whatever we want in our life if the awareness is created. Now, Rachel, we're almost coming to time for this segment, but I'd love to continue on with this mind shift for success on another segment. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great, Faye.
Beautiful. All right. I don't know how to have a break and then go to the next. So if we stop recording.
Yeah.